what is it about the physical state that might keep someone from attending to where they're at on the ladder and how they can help themselves with the tools they have?
That's a great question. I think there's a couple things that you're bringing up. The first one that I heard is that and by the way, anybody can jump in. I'm going to share my thoughts, but I would love, if anyone has a thought, go right ahead. The first one that I heard is identifying your state. Basically, you're in some sort of dysregulation, and then you work to identify where your state so that you can climb up your ladder. Is that kind of what I heard you say as piece of what you just said?
Yes.
And I think that is very common, something that a lot of people can identify with. I myself totally go there. And with building safety anchors, I don't want anyone to do that. I mean, you can, but you do what you want. But what I mean is the building safety anchors is not exactly about identifying where you're at on the ladder and then working your way up. It's about generally identifying what helps you to feel grounded, what helps you to feel safe, not necessarily dependent upon where you're at on your polyvagal ladder. Although, of course, it's important and it interacts. The point of building safety anchors is to identify what first generally helps you just to feel grounded and safe in the moment. Then once you have a menu or list, or once you have more familiarity with that, then the next thing, and it's a lot more difficult, is to identify, I think, where you're at on your ladder and then to work your way up from there. But there's a lot of caveats here. But part of that, so if I do build a course around more of the ladder climbing and trauma releasing and being mindfully with your discomfort, that's going to be a big piece of it. Is first off, building safety anchors, can you be in your safety state? If yes, then you're ready for my next course, which is more about trauma releasing kind of stuff, or working your way up the ladder. But it's not like we just identify, oh, I feel aggressive, so let me go hit something. It's not exactly that simple. It could be, or it should be, I think, in my opinion, I feel more aggressive. I'm able to notice that enough to be able to identify it. Right now, can I actually feel it? And it's not about getting rid of it. It's not about climbing your ladder to make it stop. It's about, can I be with it, and can I be with it enough to then do something that anchors me? So it's kind of like you're allowing it to be there. You're actually, in a sense, and this is outside the scope of BSA. In a sense, you're actually inviting it to be there. And I had a session just recently where, actually this comes up a lot in session, but this week I had a session that came up where I said that, and it's like, you want this to go away, but really, and I get where you're coming from, but you actually have to invite it if you really want to deal with this. If you say you're ready to deal with it, I believe you, but we got to actually invite it to be there. That discomfort, that pain, whatever you're going through. So on some level, we have to allow that discomfort to be there mindfully and really experience it, and invite in some safety at the same time. And that balances it out. They interact with each other. It's this whole other level of stuff that I haven't really spent much time on the podcast, if at all, because I just, I feel like it's a lot. So it's outside the scope of BSA, has a lot to do with mindfulness and inviting and distress tolerance. And so, yeah, that's the first thing. So when it comes to BSA, it's not about identifying where you're at on the ladder. If you can, cool, but that's not what the target is. The target is what generally brings you to safety, and can you build your capacity to stay there longer and longer and longer. So as far as just that one point, Sandra, is that clarified? Is that helpful for you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Anybody else have any thoughts that came up for them? I would definitely like to open it up to anybody else. Do you have any thoughts that popped up for you that you want to share around that?
Yeah, I just want to say I agree. Because just noticing the state doesn't give me any tools for dealing with it. I'm just in it. And also, I've noticed the few times that I've actually experienced that, oh, I'm in this state, there is no thing. All of my tools are just, they're not ready yet. I have to wait a minute or two or 5 or something, or I have to remove myself from the situation and change something in my environment before I can think about using a tool, at least for now. And maybe that's something I can build more safety anchors everywhere I go, and I won't have to, go into the bathroom and hide and wash my hands a bunch of times so it regulates.
Yeah, thank you, Reese. Yeah. Anybody else?
I think I think part of it
Yeah.
for me is so once I get to the identify it, I go straight to the fix it. So so I
Right,
guess
right.
yeah.
But
So I
even
guess
that, and I want to just, I know I'm interrupting you, but like, I want to fix it. That's not a standard thing. That is like, everybody says that, everybody feels that way. I want to fix it. I want it to go away. And that's where, as a therapist, when I hear that from a client, I'm like, whoa, hold up. There's nothing wrong with you. This is not about fixing. It's not about going away. These feelings are there for a reason. Your polyvagal state is that way for a reason. You're stuck for a reason. It's probably a normal response to very abnormal things that you've been through or not been through in life, things that you lacked. So just that mindset, that's something I like to flag, because it's not about fixing or making it go away. Although I totally get, when I hear that, I totally get where that comes from. And I think we all experience it on some level. And there's no judgment there whatsoever.
well,
Sorry
and
for
that's what's in the middle. The middle is the self-judgment. So there's
sure.
the emotion, the state, you know, and then the fix it, and in the middle is the self-judgment.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like what Reese had brought up, I think, when we, because we all do it, right? When we identify, oh my, I feel horrible, I hate this, I can't stand this, and then it might become, okay, what state am I in? And you try to figure it out. What state am I in, and what do I do next? But from that state, it's not easy. It's not easy to identify what helps unless you've practiced it already. And a lot of BSA is about practice. So from that state, if you're grounded enough already, if your vagal brake strength is already strong enough, from that state, maybe you can identify, this is where I'm at. This is my polyvagal state, and I know my way up my ladder. Maybe you can do that, but oftentimes it's not. And it's very frustrating, and you become evaluative, and now it becomes not just, I don't like being here. How do I get out of this? But now it's like, I don't like being here. How do I get out of this? And something's wrong with me. And why am I so fill in the blank? And Justin said, just do this way. And what the hell's wrong with Justin too? And all these damn internet guru people. And it's like it can go all over the place, right? It could look like that. Or maybe it'll be extremely self-defeating and actually send you a little bit down your ladder as well. So when you try to go at the polyvagal state directly and you're not ready for it, it could end up looking like that. If you're ready for it, if you have your vagal brake developed enough, then when you go after your polyvagal state and you become, it won't be out of evaluation, it won't be out of judgment, it won't be out of, I want this to go away, I want this to stop, what's wrong with me? It'll be more about, okay, what's inside of me? Like, what's there? Let me really, my gut keeps eating away at me. What's really happening with there? What does it really feel like to be me in my gut? It'll be more about curiosity and less about evaluation and making it go away, but not until your vagal brake, their safety system, is developed enough in order to allow for that. Reese, I think you have your hand up earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking, is it possible that those judgment thoughts lead to another round or a different round of fight and flight, and that wanting to fix it is a version of flight? Like if I'm fixing it, I'm not feeling it.
Totally. Yeah. The thought that pops in there, if you're not ready for, so let's say you're going after your shutdown state and it's like, okay, I'm going to feel this depression stuff, this emptiness, this void in my belly. I'm going to feel this, right? And maybe there's a little bit of fight energy there. You're motivated. You're like, I'm going to get this shutdown state. But if you're not ready for it, it could easily send you right back down the ladder into that shutdown state. And now the thought becomes, this is pointless. There's just, why did I even bother? So the thought will reflect whatever state you're in. And at first it may be, hey, I'm ready for this. I can kick butt. I've got Justin's course. Here we go. So that might come from a fight state. But it could easily just be self-reinforcing. Is that kind of what you were alluding to, Reese? Like, to me, it's reinforcing of itself, or maybe another layer of it that kind of builds up, but there's a reinforcing pattern of, if I come from that state, I'm not ready for it. The thoughts that I then have in response will just reinforce the state. And then it's like, I'm just kind of stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
Reese, is that kind of what you were?
I was also, yeah. And also another, probably a separate comment, is that you were mentioning judgment and curiosity together. and I don't know who said it, but I wrote down that we can't be in judgment if we're in curiosity. Like they are
Right.
or opposite. So that when you notice judgment, like you've already just, Sandra, you said you notice that you're in judgment, maybe that's when you can be like curious about any part of what you're feeling, any of it.
Yeah.
Doesn't be curious about the judgment, just curiosity at all. Like, I wonder
Yeah.
how long this will last. I wonder if I will actually throw up from my upset stomach. I wonder if
Yeah, no, I definitely, it's kind of like goes back and forth, right? It's kind of goes back and forth, but the goal is to fix it, right? So the goal, but then I did go into the, nothing's going to work. So just kind of, you know, okay, sorry, like that's the best
I've
word
heard it
for
before.
it. It's like, what's the point? You know,
Yeah.
uh,
And so when those thoughts come into our mind, we have to ask ourselves, it's hard in the moment, but when those thoughts come into our mind of like, what's the point? F it, whatever pops in our mind, is that an accurate description of reality? Or is that a story that is following your state? And it's not easy to notice that in the moment, but when we self-reflect or when we reflect and we look back on, earlier today, I tried to meditate and I tried to feel this discomfort and this thought popped in my head. Was the thought of, okay, this is useless? Was that an accurate reflection of reality? Or was that more probably a reflection of the frustration, anger, fight state that I was in? So that would be just after the fact, probably. In the moment, it's not easy to do that. Hey, thank you for watching this clip from one of my open office hours. This is something that I do once a month for people who've signed up for one of my courses. If you're interested in joining a course and joining me on the next open office hour, go to my website. It is justinlmft.com. This and other content I create is not therapy, not intended to be therapy or be a replacement for therapy. Nothing in this creates or indicates a therapeutic relationship. Please consult with your therapist or seek for one in your area if you are experiencing mental health symptoms. Nothing should be understood to be specific life advice. It is for educational and entertainment purposes only.